Oh, hi guys. Am I live? Is this working? Oh my gosh, my hair looks my hair looks like a freshly bathed chicken. Oops. Hi, can you all hear me okay? Okay, please let me know if there's any issues with audio or video. I recently installed a Wi-Fi extender, so hopefully the quality is better. Oh my gosh, sorry, I look so dry today. So it's springtime in Seattle, and I actually forgot how bad the allergies are here. I get really bad allergies in the spring, but especially in Seattle because there's so much foliage here, which is beautiful, and you know, it's like great for living and watching from a window, but it's really tough during springtime when all the flowers open up. So sorry if I'm sounding really congested. I have a box of Kleenex. I've been like pretty much sneezing and puffy-eyed, crying, irritated, congested, skin's breaking out. Allergies are just great. It's a really great time of year. Hi, Kristen. Okay, let me go in and see who all is here. Sorry for my giant thumb. I'm live streaming from my phone, so let's see. Okay, so we have Kirsten, Morella, Trash Kitty Art, Brianna, Tanya, Jen. Hi, ladies. Welcome. It's the girls' day today. How are you guys all doing? I'm like really trying to get through this month. Earlier this month, I was like under so much stress and I was panicking a lot. I had very low self-confidence that I was going to be able to finish my show on time. You know, I have to do 8 pieces total before the end of April. And so far, I'm on track to finish 3 by the end of March / beginning of April. So I have 5 to do in April. So like it took me a month to do 3 pieces, and then I have 1 more month left to do 5. But I don't know, I think like after thinking about it for a while, I realized each piece takes less and less time, because like the first piece, for example, it's just really, oh, okay, sorry, I'm missing a few comments. Let's see. Oh yay, Tanya says, doing great, been painting more, that's always good. When is your show in May? I want to make sure I don't miss your opening. So it's Saturday, May 18th at Corey Helford Gallery, and it's in the evening. So I think it starts maybe at like 6 or something, but I'll definitely send out more details. So just the evening of Saturday, May 18th in Los Angeles. So thank you for wanting to come. That's awesome. Yeah, it's like my first time exhibiting at a gallery this big. I think Corey Helford's probably the biggest gallery I've ever shown at. So I'm really like nervous. I want to, you know, make them proud and do a good job. It's kind of always been a dream of mine to exhibit with them ever since I went and saw one of their shows in person. Like the gallery space is just so extravagant and memorable. So it's like kind of a personal milestone for me that I get to be hung up on their walls. But yeah, I think a lot of that pressure to impress and the desire to impress also made me just really stressed out, and it actually took me a really long time to even get started on my first piece because I was so like nervous to take the first step. But yeah, as I was saying, it's actually getting better. Every piece, I think it's because now I'm more well practiced and I have established kind of a routine, a process that really works. So now knowing what works and what doesn't, I don't waste time making mistakes anymore, and I can just go in and like execute. So I do think it's gonna be fine. It's gonna be tight, but you know, what kind of solo show prep isn't tight? So tight on time, but I think I figured out the right approach and the right like protocol to make all these pieces. So let me show you guys the pieces I have so far. Sorry, if I ever blow my nose, I'm gonna try to do it off camera, but Man, these flowers are killing me. Okay, so this is the one you guys might have seen the most. Okay, sorry, let me answer a few questions real quick. Tanya says, will you have prints for sale there? I really want to have prints for sale there. I talked to the gallery and asked them if I could sell my own prints. They have like a rule against selling, like me making my own prints and selling them. They said they have to make the prints in-house and kind of like with their own printers, and they have to kind of oversee the entire logistics of selling prints. So I think they said we'll play by ear and see which piece or pieces drum up a lot of interest, and they'll make prints. So if you guys want prints, be sure to tell Corey Helford that you want them, because they're the only way that I can sell prints at the show. However, I will be selling prints of the pieces on my personal online shop. So if they're not available at the show, you know, you guys will still have a way to get them. And I'm thinking of making like a special collection, since all these pieces will be part of one family, and maybe I'll sell like a set, or do some sort of limited edition embellished print. I don't know, but I definitely want to do something special with this collection, rather than just selling like individual prints like I normally do. So let me see. Sorry, did I miss any other chats? Oh, you guys are so sweet. Will you make a small vlog? Yes, I will definitely vlog this, especially since LA is... I don't think I've ever vlogged LA, and I really love the city, and there's so much to do, and I definitely want to vlog this time. Cool. Okay, so let me talk a little bit about this piece. You guys might have seen my color mock-ups and my process on Patreon. So it's pretty much almost completely done. I still have to obviously add the tattoo, which is kind of the main focal point, add some floating petals in the sky, and, you know, just small little details that people probably won't really care about, but something that I'm really meticulous, and it's like something only I can see, but it bothers me so much that I'll spend lots of time on it, like adding more loose strands with the hair, refining the hair ornaments. I want to actually, I used yellow ochre to make these kind of gold parts, these gold hair ornaments, and I want to use like a real metallic gold and go over it so it has like a shine. And, you know, I want to add the gold to like her earrings and maybe the brush, and maybe like I want to add like a little detailed stripe on the hem of her dress, and I'll probably make that gold too. So interesting fact about this dress. So I don't paint clothes very often. If you look at my work, most of the girls are naked. But this one was like probably my maybe second or third time ever painting cloth, and I was so afraid of it, and I'm not super satisfied with it. I think there's a lot I could have done better, but I actually really loved it. It was very therapeutic. It was very similar to sculpting or like kneading dough almost. So I definitely think for the next 5 pieces, I want to have at least one more with cloth. And this one was hard because the reference photo I used, I didn't like how the cloth, well, like there wasn't much reference of the cloth. So I looked at a few different ones to see how like the cloth will bend and how the wrinkles will form, and I kind of composed a bunch of them together in my head. So I didn't follow like one reference specifically for the dress, and it was really difficult to get it right. So having that digital mock-up and being able to play with it in Photoshop first really helped me with the cloth, because I got to practice it without having to risk, you know, messing it up on the actual panel. What do I use for gold? So I actually have a metallic gold oil paint from Gamblin. Let me see if I can find it. Oh, what do you know? Right here. So there's 2 that I use. Depending on the color scheme of the painting, I pick one that's most suited. So there's pale gold, which is a more yellowy color, and then there's a rich gold, which is more like a bronze-ish color. So I'll probably go with the pale gold for this one. Let me show you guys the actual paint. Eee! This won't open. Use a Kleenex. Oh, here's a trick / tip. If your bottles or your paint tubes won't open and your hand is hurting, just put like a piece of fabric or tissue between, and then you can get a better grip without hurting your fingers. So yeah, here is the, do it like makeup gurus do. Here's my oil paint. It's really pretty, but it dries really fast. So it's not really good for like mixing or, you know, blending, but it's really good in my opinion for like embellishments. And someone, let's see, another comment. Trash Kitty says, this painting has Xiaobai energy. Dude, I love Xiaobai. So Xiaobai is a Chinese illustrator, and she paints a lot of these kind of like ancient Chinese girls. Her works are a lot more anime influenced, but she paints them kind of like as badass women, like they'll have tattoos and piercings. So I definitely was really inspired by how she made the kind of traditional meek and docile Chinese woman feel really like empowered and sensual, and like women who, you know, weren't afraid to be sexy, because, you know, in ancient Chinese culture, like women were very repressed and censored, and you have to be like a lady and you can't show any body parts. And so I really love that she like, I have her book, so let me bring it for those of you who are not familiar with her work, because she was a huge source of inspiration. I want to give her a good shout out. So whoa. Here it is. So yeah, this is the artist that Trash Kitty Art was talking about. Her stuff is, I think it's all done digitally, but yeah, she does really cool like drawings, and I think she does them, yeah, they're definitely all digital, but her stuff is just like a perfect blend of manga and traditional Chinese art. But her stuff is a lot more like smooth, and I can't really describe it. It's like, it's a lot more, I don't want to just say smooth. There's a quality to them that's very, like, you can tell it's very digital. But yeah. I think with mine, like, I wanted to do a blend of her work. Oh, sorry, I keep missing my books. So I showed this book last time during my last live stream. This is a book of art by actually a couple, a married Chinese couple, and they're, you know, modern day artists, but they draw on traditional Chinese motifs, and they paint these like beautiful women that I love that you can't tell what era their paintings are from. I could see this being painted from like, you know, 300 years ago, or I could see it being painted nowadays. So I wanted my collection to almost be a hybrid of two of my biggest inspirations. I wanted the kind of sensuality and the freedom and personality of Xiaobai's characters, and kind of the badassery, like with the tattoos and stuff. But I also wanted like more traditional, hand-drawn, like almost illustrative, watercolor-y Chinese art elements. So hopefully I did them justice. Next piece I wanted to show you is this one. I still have a bit to do on her. I have to finish, I have to finish the skin, make it smoother. There's like a lot of patchy parts here. I don't know if you can tell in this, but yeah, like I need to make it all smooth. And of course, gotta finish the background of the fish. So this one is a kind of a recreation of my painting Koi. You guys might be familiar with Koi. It's like, here, actually, let me just show you since I can move this. So do you see, oh no, it's covered by my plant. Here, let me show you real quick. So this piece, this is Koi. And it's my, one of my earlier pieces from, let's see, 2016, July 2016. This is just the canvas print of it. The original was sold 3 years ago. But yeah, so I wanted, this is my live stream station. How do I get my camera back? Okay, there we go. So I wanted to almost like try to recreate it, but in a different style. So I still have the two koi fish that are floating, and I have a kind of Chinese girl with similar makeup, and I still have water lilies, but instead of being in the water, it's almost kind of like an abstract design of just a girl and with background elements that frame the subject. And yeah, she's posed, I guess, in a more, like, you can see more of her body and more of her pose. She's kind of like shy, but also like kind of almost flirting with the camera, or flirting with the viewer. I kind of like that. And I'm gonna make this hair ornament really detailed and pretty and embellish it with gold once more. But yeah, hands, trying to make the hands look good. Hands are tough. Also, like, as much as I want them to be sexy, I'm also playing with maybe not showing nipple because, like, I don't know, I just, one, I hate having to always censor myself and, you know, getting my post removed and flagged. And two, I think, like, there's almost it's like a challenge to make a woman nude and flirtatious and sexual without showing everything. It's almost like a tease. So I feel like this is a really good experiment for me to see if I can make the women feel very like desirable and sexual, but not show like all of their body parts. Just leave a little to the imagination, I guess. But yeah, the positioning of this is gonna be tough because I'm gonna have to find a way to avoid showing her nipple. But yeah, these are kind of my two current ones, and then the third one I'll show you on the easel. So the third one is the one I'm going to be working on today, so why don't we move on over there. But first let me answer some questions. Morella says, next week I'll be going to Barcelona to the actual only store that sells Gamblin paints. Any color recommendations? Yes, I will show you some of my favorite colors that I like, my go-to colors. I'll keep in mind I have these giant tubes because I use too much of them, but they sell them in smaller tubes. Like they sell them in this size, so you don't have to get this one. But titanium white is one I use all the time. It's just like my favorite type of white. It blends really well. It's got good opacity. It's like a quintessential everyday, every artist white. For skin tones, I like, oh my gosh, I probably need more paint because it's getting... So for skin tones, I love using this green. It's a brownish earthy green, terre verte. My French accent's really bad. And cadmium red medium. This is kind of like the red equivalent of this white. To me, it's like the perfect quintessential red. It's just like in the middle. It's not too light, not too dark, not too warm, not too cool. It's like red. Like when someone says red and I close my eyes, I think of this red. So this really bright saturated red, and this is pretty pricey. I think this was like $25 a bottle when I bought it, but as you can see, it's lasted me a really long time because a little goes a long way. It's really, really high opacity, so you don't need that much. I usually use like maybe 25% of this red and then 75% of this green to mix, oh, and of course, titanium white. Otherwise you get brown. But yeah, to mix like a nice mid-tone peachy color for my skin tones. So these two, my favorites for skin tones. Titanium white, always a plus, or always a necessity, not just a plus. What else? So I've also, for the earthy tones, I've been loving these three. I don't think you need all of them, but transparent earth orange is really beautiful if you want to give people like a sun-kissed glow or any elements that need a touch of warmth. It's not like an orange. It's really close to burnt sienna, which is like a warm, earthy brown, but it's more transparent. So obviously, because the name is transparent earth orange, it's more transparent, so it's really good for glazing and just kind of adding a small tinge to things. Burnt sienna is a really good kind of base color for underpaintings or your first layer for color blocking. It's also a good starting point for a lot of skin tones. So if you mix burnt sienna and titanium white, you get a nice tan. And that's, I used to like start off with like that burnt sienna white mixture, and then I would add little touches of like red for the blush, and then little touches of like brown or blues, something cool for the shadows. So it was a really good starting point. This one, Raw Umber, is what I've been using for all the lines in my pieces. So part of making things illustrative, I try to, you know, incorporate lines almost like in a drawing. So all the lines I use to refine little details, like on the brush, on the fingers, on the cloth, everything except for the clouds. The clouds have like a light gray line, but all the lines I've been using Raw Umber. It's a beautiful, cool, dark brown. And if you don't want to buy too many, you can always mix these browns with your primaries, your reds, yellows, blues. Okay, I'll quickly recommend a few more and then I'll move on with the rest. I'll probably go over time today again, so don't worry guys. I always go over. Oh, okay, so this one, it's again really faded already. I've been using it for a while. Radiant Green, beautiful mint green. I would recommend buying this because it's really hard to mix this color. It's hard to make a mint green that's so saturated and so pastel. Usually when you mix colors, if you want to make them lighter, you have to add white, and that reduces their saturation because white is, you know, colorless. So for something to be light and also saturated, I would suggest buying a tube of it because it's so hard to mix. And this is what I use a lot for my Luna moths. And for greens and blues, actually, I'll just recommend 2 colors. I personally love, where are you? Where are you? Come out. He's hiding. I have, oh my gosh, sorry guys. Okay, well, oh, there he is, I found it. Okay, so this little guy, he was being naughty, he was hiding. Prussian blue is my favorite blue to use. It's not too saturated. It's really good for like evening, nighttime colors, shadows. It mixes really well. I don't know, I just never liked really saturated blues. I've never painted a piece where I needed a really saturated blue, especially if you paint other parts of your piece that are more neutral and earthy. Like, it doesn't take much for a blue to pop. So Prussian blue, if you mix it with like a little bit of white, it gives me a good enough saturation level. This is not Gamblin brand, but Gamblin sells this color as well. I didn't buy one from Gamblin because I bought this like 4 or 5 years ago, but it's cadmium yellow medium. This brand is Williamsburg. Gamblin's brand is very comparable. I think Gamblin's price for the cadmium yellow medium is very similar, maybe a little bit cheaper than Williamsburg, but this, same as cadmium red medium. I don't know why, but the cadmium mediums, as in addition to being a tongue twister, they're also very expensive because there's so much pigment. A little goes a long way. I spent $30, close to $30-ish on each one of these, and they've lasted me for 5 years, probably more than 5 years, and I'm not even like halfway done with them. So I would suggest investing in these, especially if you're mixing colors. Lastly, I would say Chromatic Black is my favorite black from Gamblin. There's many different blacks to choose from, but this one is a little bit more transparent. I find that when I mix it with colors, it gives a better result. It doesn't desaturate the colors too much. It just makes things darker. I love mixing Chromatic Black and Prussian blue and add like a little bit of white to just give it a little bit more saturation. It makes a beautiful, muted, like evening bluish gray color. I just love it. So those are my recommendations. But yeah, oil paints are expensive, but I think like it's not something you have to buy very often. And especially if you're stingy like I am with mixing colors and you don't waste them, they will last you forever. So yeah, let me see if there's any more questions I can answer. Okay, so, oh nice, okay. There are a few more questions. I'm gonna answer them while I paint so that give you guys some demo footage. So let me just, sorry. I'm going to move my phone. Please pardon the close-up of my hand. I know it's really sexy. Okay, there we go. Actually, you know what? I'm gonna turn this around. Yeah, hold on. Actually, I'm gonna turn this around. Change my mind. There we go. Just the quality's a little bit better on this camera, front-facing camera. Oh yeah, and please pardon my dogs barking. They've been barking at every single noise lately. I really don't know what's gotten into them. Every time there's like a bus passing by or the garbage man passing by, my dogs have just been barking like insane. Maybe they have allergies too, and they're becoming delirious or something. I don't know. Okay, cool. I think my webcam or my camera transitions from like the selfie sitting down angle to my painting on the easel angle. I think they're getting better. They're getting faster. These used to take me like two full minutes to transition. Yay. Okay, so let me just zoom in. this is the piece that I have been working on last night. This is kind of the third piece in my collection. And she's a sleeping goddess. You guys definitely seen her all over Patreon. She's got like very similar makeup as the other ones, very similar colors. I think I want to keep everything very consistent so it feels like a cohesive collection. So I actually mixed the same skin tones for her and for the koi fish girl. And yeah, she's just got a bit more red, kind of a sunset piece. And I want the mountains to feel almost like watercolors. I don't want them to be too realistic or 3D. I want the whole piece to feel like it could be done in watercolor. Very flat, which is even harder because I'm used to painting like rougher mountains. So these I have had to just use like thin lines to convey the different like faces and dimensions of the mountain. It's really hard to stop myself from building more on that. So yeah, I'm gonna work on her while I chat with you guys. Let me just move some stuff out of the way here. Move my tripod closer. Yes. Oops. Okay. Well, actually, hold on. Let me... Just when I said I was getting better at transitioning to my tripod, I am not as good as I remember. Okay, so there we go. Let me zoom in on this babe a little bit. Okay. Oh my gosh, my dog's barking. I swear, dogs barking is like babies crying. Like, you can't ignore it. It's super annoying, but like, ugh. But you love them, so what do you do? Okay. They're probably also barking because I'm talking up here and they're not up here with me, so they probably think that someone else is up here. Like sometimes when I make noises upstairs, they'll think I'm an intruder and they'll bark at me until I reveal myself, so. Oh, please, dogs, please. Okay, so let me zoom in on the mountains, which is, I'm gonna work on this patch right here. Okay, awesome. Yay! Okay. And as I work, I will answer your questions to the best of my ability. So, first question. Grab this. You guys can. Hi. Hello. Actually, yeah, let me rotate this a bit. Okay. Cool. Ah! When you're zoomed in, everything is a lot more sensitive. Okay, come on. Come on, tripod. Come on, tripod. There you go. Okay, perfect. Yay. Okay, first question is, every fish you paint grows my heart 3 sizes. Aw, thank you. That's so sweet. I've been loving painting fish. It's taken a while for me to get back into it because I was so sad when my tank died, but lately I've kind of, it gets easier day by day and I kind of see the joy now. I've really missed painting fish. Honestly, all animals. It's just, painting animals with humans is such like, it creates such a beautiful story. I always feel like I tell the most stories when I show like friendships between humans and animals, or the bond between like the human and the animal subject. The question from Trash Kitty Art. Since the solo show has a Chinese theme, have you thought about painting goldfish? Ooh, yes, I have. Like those really big-headed goldfish, that would be awesome. I was thinking that for the next 5, I already have some concepts sketched for it. I think I showed you guys before, but as I create the collection, I'm thinking about changing some stuff up. Like this always happens with my solo shows. I never go completely according to plan. There's always like 2 pieces at least that I end up improvising last minute. So goldfish was definitely something I was thinking about. Like goldfish with maybe like a porcelain fishbowl would be really cool. Brianna says, how do you go about coming up with a theme for an entire body of work? That's tough because I feel like it's not really about coming up with a theme. It's more like going through my pre-existing inventory of ideas and picking one. I'm constantly like jotting down ideas for either individual pieces or collections. Sometimes I'll have an idea for an individual piece that I like so much that I'll expand it to be a collection. Oh, by the way, for the dark parts, I'm using Portland Gray Deep. It's a beautiful dark gray. And again, like these are colors you don't really have to buy. You can just mix to get it close enough. But I like their formula, so to speak. Like this, I can't mix a gray that looks exactly like this. So I really like the pre-mixed version. Also, Gamblin was kind enough to send me some materials to try out. So I'm really grateful that they gave me a chance to try all these different colors that I normally would have never even bought. And through experimenting them, I feel like I can make better recommendations. Like after trying every color, I can be like, this one is worth buying, or this one you can save and just mix yourself. So thank you, Gamblin, for being so supportive. But yeah, back to my answering my question about the body of work. So every time I have an idea, I jot it down, and I have this like app on my phone, like this note-taking app called Minimalist, and I basically jot down, and sometimes the ideas sound totally awesome in my head or written out, but then when you draw it out, like it seems kind of silly. So I write it out, and then if I have time, I'll draw it out. And when it came time to decide what to do for my solo show, I went back into that notebook, into that list, combination of my list and my sketchbook, and I looked up all the ideas I jotted down. I also I like to look through kind of my past body of work and pieces I had done, and ask myself like, oh, can this piece be, extended, or can I build off of it and create a whole family of pieces like in the same theme? So yeah, it's definitely a lot of trial and error, so to speak. I think of coming up with concepts the same way I think of buying frames. Like you just always have to be buying frames, because if you wait until you need a frame to go out and get one, there's a very low chance that you'll find exactly what you want or find a frame that fits the piece, and then you'll be forced to kind of like, just settle for an average frame or a frame you don't really like. So if you're always just collecting frames, you'll end up finding one, like the chances of you finding one that fit your artwork are a lot easier. And sometimes if you have a frame on hand, it might change how you do your artwork. Like there have been pieces I've made specifically to fit frames that I've had, or I was inspired by the frame. So coming up with ideas is the same way. Like always have an inventory of ideas, so that when you need to, find one for like a collection or a gallery show, or even just your next piece, you don't have to kind of be staring at a blank canvas with no starting point. You have options, and you can pick and choose. You can, evolve the ideas you currently have, or sometimes just looking at ideas, even if I hate all of them, it helps me find an idea that I don't hate. Like knowing what I don't want helps give me clarity on what I do want. So it's always a good idea to constantly jot down any small concepts or inspirations that pop up in your head, even if they sound stupid, because they will be useful down the road. So that's kind of how I come up with an idea for a collection of work. This one in particular, though, I had been wanting to do for a while. So the name of the show is Forbidden Kingdom, and I came up with that name a long time ago, and I had been wanting to do it, a Chinese themed collection, I think for the past like 3 years. I just never found the right time, or I was never kind of confident enough in my ability to render things, in the traditional Chinese style. But I've always wanted to combine like oil paints with traditional Chinese watercolor painting. I just think it's such a cute and fresh look, especially when I've been painting oils for so long and I'm used to kind of the traditional way that oil paintings look, like very 3D, very textured, almost impressionistic, or very smooth and high value. And so forcing myself to make something that's flat, that goes against what I'm used to, it's a really fun challenge. Took a lot of time in the beginning, gave me a lot of anxiety and almost panic attacks, but I think, now I'm in a really comfortable spot where I can really just be excited about the show and looking forward to future pieces instead of dreading them. Oh no, Jen says my phone's about to die. No, find a charger, Jen. Elise says, hi from Norway. Currently writing my BA, so it's such a great distraction. Whoa, in Norway, that's amazing. What time is it over there? You guys, I gotta visit Europe. It's like top on my list of places I want to visit. I've never done a proper Europe trip, and I especially want to go see all the beautiful art galleries and castles. Also, like Iceland, I heard is really beautiful. Like I want to go diving between the tectonic plates. Tanya says, are you gonna be posting more YouTube videos? I look forward to watching those every week. I feel like you haven't posted one in a while. I could be wrong. I know you're busy though, so no pressure. Yeah, I have not been posting. I think I posted 2 this month, and I was gonna post one last week, but you know, to be honest, I'm going through some personal struggles, so I spent a lot of time like, you know, figuring those out, and you know, whenever I did have free time, I had to prioritize making the pieces for the show, so YouTube kind of took a back burner. But I have so much footage planned. Maybe I'll just put my head down and put another video out this weekend, because I wanna definitely do one more video in March. March is such a long month. There's 31 days. I don't like that I've only posted like 2 videos in this long month. So thank you for giving me that kind of reminder. So yeah, I feel like also lately, ever since I ended my studio sessions, I have been trying to come up with new ways to edit my videos. The old studio sessions, because I was following a very similar formula with each video, they didn't take as long to edit and to finish. Like I could kind of just follow the same template for each video. But now that I'm trying to, I guess, reinvent myself, again, it's like really daunting, because I feel like I don't want to just create a video that you guys have already seen before. So then I, you know, try to sit down and brainstorm ideas, and I know editing's gonna take me longer, so it makes me dread it and makes me not feel very like confident to start editing, especially if I'm short on time. So videos that normally take me just an afternoon now will take me like a full day, so I have to really set aside time for it. But you know, I feel like I have to really find balance, because if the result of me reinventing my channel is causing me to not produce videos as much, like that's not, like that's the opposite of what I want. So yeah, maybe I should just not be afraid and just put out the best video I can, and if people like it, they'll like it. If people don't like it, then that's fine. I think as I get older, I just have to stop caring about so much about like my own doubts and what I think other people want, and just try my best and, you know, handle the result, whatever result I get. Another question. Let's see. Kirsten says, what tips do you have for an art channel that's in the really early stages, like coming up with ideas for voiceovers, lighting, editing, growing the channel? I remember when I first started, honestly, it was like such a different time. This was like over 3 years ago, and so much has changed in 3 short years. Like the years have flown by, but I've seen so many more artists now on YouTube, especially in the oil painting community. Like when I started, there weren't very many like artists even making videos on YouTube. There were a few like, you know, formal kind of tutorial channels by really talented artists who seemed like professional art instructors. So, but there weren't like a lot of, you know, what you would typically see as a YouTube like personality, like not a lot of young creators, you know, making videos that had humor or like had a lot of like a pacing or editing style geared towards your average YouTube demographic, which I think skews pretty young. So like for example, in the makeup and beauty community, like there's a lot of makeup gurus that also, you know, are teenagers, or at least they appeal to teenagers, and they don't, it's not just professional makeup artists giving you a long, thorough, detailed tutorial. Like those videos are very fun and entertaining to watch, in addition to helping you learn how to do makeup. So I feel like with art, when I first started YouTube, there wasn't a lot of that. There was a lot more just kind of formal, you know, almost art shows that you would see on PBS. So Lena Danya was one of the first ones that I saw who oil painted and also made really fun videos that were like good quality and entertaining to watch, and for a beginner artist like me, like something I could really relate to. And then nowadays I feel like there are a lot more artists. I still think there's a lot more illustrators than there are oil painters. Oil painting I think still skews for like a pretty older demographic, maybe because of the stigma around it and the fact that it's not a medium that's taught in schools or readily available to a younger crowd. It's something you have to kind of personally seek out and go out of your way to find. It's not something that is taught or recommended by default like in school. But there are so many more art channels. So if you're in the really, really early stages, now is the best time to do your research and like watch a lot of content. I think it's hard because it's hard to find a balance between like being inspired by a channel and then also feeling almost stuck because you don't want to end up mimicking your idols too much. Like you want to make your channel unique, but you also want to make it like something on trend so that people can find it more easily or can relate to it more easily. So finding a balance, I would say like watch a lot of content and don't follow one or even two people very closely. Like try to make your art consumption as diverse as possible, make your sources of inspiration as wide and as varied as possible, and then you know, instead of being inspired by one or two people, you can be inspired by a whole group of people, and that way it's easier to find your voice and it's easier to avoid following just one person. But if you're really, really early in the stage, like the best source of knowing how to start is by seeing what's already out there. That's just my opinion. But also, like, I would recommend learning from those channels. A lot of them tell you what equipment they use and where they got them. So, you know, support your creators. Like, click on those affiliate links because, you know, they're not costing you any extra, but they're giving the creators a little commission for kind of sharing their knowledge, sharing a shortcut with you guys of like what products to buy. It's almost like someone's testing it and reviewing it for you so that you don't have to end up, you know, accidentally buying a shitty product. They're kind of the lab rats for you. So I always try to support my creators by using their affiliate links, especially if they've introduced me to a product. But yeah, so learn from channels, get inspired by as many creators as possible, and find out what equipment and tools you need to buy. Also, like by, you know, watching the recommendations of the channels you love. Oh, these trees are so hard. Sometimes painting trees or painting things that are supposed to look random and naturally occurring is harder because it's so hard to like mimic randomness perfectly. I always feel like I'm making the same stroke. It's hard to make something look like it was just whimsically created in nature versus designed to be put there by the artist. Ah. But yeah. And these mountains are actually real. There's many locations in China with mountains that look like this, but this one in particular, I'm inspired by Guilin, which is like a really beautiful little part of China that has these gorgeous, like surreal, trippy mountains, but also have a lot of little streams and rivers and water. So I wanted to paint her like napping in the water, even though in real life that would be very uncomfortable. Like nobody would want to nap in like a soggy river, but she's a goddess. She can do whatever she wants. Okay. And then the little dots I'm painting are actually trees and foliage that grow at the top of these mountains. The reason why they're shaped like this, like there's real life mountains that are shaped like this, is because it's kind of like the Grand Canyon. They all used to be underwater. So there used to be like sea creatures living here. And water covering like higher than the mountains themselves. And over the millions of years, the water has receded and exposed these formations. So these mountains are not formed the way mountains are typically formed, which is by two tectonic plates like pushing against each other. These mountains are formed by just, you know, being like underwater landscapes that have been eroded by millions of years of water and ocean life and then exposed for us to enjoy. So yeah. they have just such a magical, interesting shape. Okay, let me see if there's any more questions. Elise says it's 22:42. Okay, so that's 10:42. If I'm getting my military time correct. In Norway. You should visit the west coast of Norway, very beautiful nature, and I think you'll find a lot of inspiration there. Lots of mighty mountains and seas and rural nature. Oh, that sounds beautiful. Yeah, Scandinavia is gorgeous. I never knew like how beautiful it was. Like before, like, I guess in college, all I knew about Scandinavia was like Sweden, IKEA, because I went to IKEA all the time, and like Denmark had the mermaid thing in Copenhagen, and I learned it was like a very like peaceful, happy society, very bikeable, and then I knew like there were a lot of famous DJs that came from like EDM DJs that came from Scandinavia, and it wasn't until like the last few years where I've seen just so many gorgeous photos of the landscape. It truly is like stunning, especially in smaller Scandinavian countries. Like you could drive for just an hour and see a landscape that looks like it should be on the other side of the world. Like there's so many different forms of nature, different types of beauty condensed into a very small place. Okay, let me zoom in. Let me zoom in more on these mountains here. Yay. Okay, let me also tilt my webcam up. I'm also trying to draw these like cranes. There we go. Come on. Okay, there we go. I'm actually I'll do one right now just to put like kind of a placeholder there. I'm not sure if I should make these cranes have any sort of like detail on them or just make them a dark silhouette. Maybe just a dark silhouette for simplicity's sake. Keep in line with the simplistic elegance of the traditional Chinese watercolors. Yeah, I found that, especially with this collection, sometimes art is very similar to almost like ballet or dancing. Like it looks so effortless when you watch ballet dancers dance. It looks like they're light as air and it's graceful and they're just floating. But then like underneath it all, like there's so much training and work and countless hours of like perfecting every little thing and a lot of pain from, you know, like wearing those shoes. And it's stuff that like they all did on purpose to convey just how effortlessly it can look to the audience. And I feel like painting is the same way. Like the more simple I want to make a piece, the longer I actually spend on it, versus something more textured and rough and detailed. I actually spend less time on it. So it's a it's quite an interesting like thought experiment, I guess. Oh no, I painted over the line for this. Where did I have it? Oh, I think it's here. Okay, cool. Okay, I think I got it. So yeah. But yeah, I'm also trying to draw like traditional Chinese cranes, but now it's looking kind of like a goose. Okay, I'll fix this later. Let's see. Next question from Trash Kitty Art. Hey Happy, do you know of any online resources for finding / submitting to exhibitions? You know, I don't know of like one particular website that, you know, kind of congregates all of the calls for submissions together, but that does sound like a really good idea. I do know that like artists, or not artists, galleries will often open up on certain times of year. They'll open up a chance for artists to submit to be a part of the gallery. It just it's not very common, and I think a lot of the more popular galleries, they're usually booked out far in advance. Like especially for solo shows, they like for my solo show, they contacted me over a year in advance for this show. So but for group shows, there's a lot more leeway. There's a lot more opportunity to invite new artists. So sometimes the galleries you like will have a call to submission section on their website, which you can use to send your portfolio. But also, I think what's a gallery that does this? Maybe the gallery in Philadelphia, Arch Enemy Arts, they do an actual open call, like almost casting call. So they'll put it out on social media and advertise it, and you know it's a good way to alert people to apply. But then other galleries, they don't broadcast it as publicly. You kind of have to dig on their website and find it. In terms of local galleries, it might be a little bit easier depending on, you know, which city you live in or which town you live in. But I feel like, yeah, with the kind of galleries that you find on social media, they usually either invite artists themselves or you have to apply through their website. But yeah, I don't know if I know of any like hubs where you can apply to a bunch at the same time. I know there was a website for like applying to various art related events, like not just gallery shows or galleries, but like for example, if they wanted a local artist to paint a mural somewhere, like there's almost like a job center for artists, but I forgot what it was called. I'll definitely look it up and see if I can find it. I never had any luck on that place because out of all the jobs that I applied to, like they didn't pay very much at all. It just seemed like, I don't know, it was almost insulting how little they offered to pay for, you know, like they'll say, oh, we want you to paint a mural covering this entire wall of a building, but we'll only pay you like $100, even though it's gonna take you probably like weeks to finish. I don't know. I just felt like it left a really bad taste in my mouth. So I never went back to that website because, you know, all the jobs it seemed like they were just trying to take advantage of artists. But yeah, for galleries, definitely compile a list of your favorite galleries and galleries that you really want to show at, and look on their website. They usually have like a submissions page, and you know, also look at their current roster of artists and see if your style and skill level kind of fits in with what they currently have, because galleries tend to go for, I mean, they definitely have a variety of artists that they don't go for like the exact same art style, but they definitely like to go for the same kind of level of quality. And for certain shows, you'll see a lot of artists with similar styles. Like Modern Eden is a very pop surrealist heavy gallery, so they support a lot of artists who do like kind of pop surrealism stuff. And if you are a pop surrealist artist, you know, it might be a fitting gallery for you. If you do a lot of abstract work, it might not be the best gallery, because I haven't seen a lot of abstract art from them. So it's all about finding a gallery that's suited for you, and then you know, doing a lot of digging to kind of apply. You know, it's not very easy. Unfortunately, applying to galleries is not like a seamless, quick process. I think it's just like any other job application process. There's a lot of tedious, laborious tasks that you have to do. A lot of waiting around, a lot of rejection, so much rejection. Yeah, I felt like I was really discouraged my first like 2 years doing this art thing full time, because like galleries weren't even responding to me. I mean, now I kind of don't blame them, because I know it's a lot of work to run a gallery, and you know, even just managing your current roster of artists, let alone having to like, you know, find new artists or like have the time to bring new artists in. But yeah, at the time it was just really discouraging, because I felt like, you know, sometimes I felt like I was good enough, so why weren't they even acknowledging me? But you know, now that I've done this longer, I know that people's time is limited, people's resources are limited. So oh, another question from Art by MB. Approximately how long do you paint each day? Is it basically like a 9-to-5 job, or do you spend more or less time? Well, painting, I don't get to paint all day, which sucks, because I really want to, and that's why I'm hiring an assistant this year, so I can free up more time to paint. It is like a 9-to-5 job in the sense that you definitely have to work at least 9 to 5. I personally always work more, so like I think I average probably like 60 hours a week, but I don't do like a 9 to 5 schedule, which I should. I'm just naturally very nocturnal. You guys might have seen my Instagram stories from like, I think 2 nights ago, where I stayed up till 4 a.m. I drank way too much tea that day. By the way, guys, like there's this Chinese tea called Tie Guanyin, which is like oolong tea, and for some reason I read online that it didn't have a lot of caffeine content, so it should be fine. Like it was like a moderate to low caffeine content. I really love the taste of it. I found a stash that was, well, expired. I had gotten it from in China like a long time ago. I think my mom's friend or my mom got it for me. So I'm like, oh, it's like, you know, 2 years expired, so it's probably not that potent. In addition, it's probably, you know, like they said, there's no caffeine. So then I stayed up, or sorry, I drank a bunch thinking it was fine, but then I ended up staying up too long because it has a different type of like chemical that gives you energy. I forgot, it was polyethanol or poly, I don't know, but it gave me way too much energy. I was wired and awake, and I just kept painting all night. But that was because during that day I had been, you know, packaging prints, shipping orders, and so I didn't get to start painting until like 7:30 p.m. that day. So, you know, once I was in the zone, I painted until 4 a.m. So I had like, I don't know, like a 14-hour workday. But then the very next day, I was so exhausted from pulling an all-nighter that I napped all day. Like, I took this really strong allergy medication because my allergies were killing me, and I just napped all day. I slept for like 18 hours. So at the end of each week, I end up averaging about 60 hours, but sometimes I'll go for these really long stretches where I could go like, you know, completely insane and work until my body collapses. And then, you know, some days I'll have like rest days where I sleep the whole day because I'm so tired. Honestly, I don't recommend that. I really think the 9 to 5 schedule is quite nice. Like, there's definitely benefits to having order and structure to your life, and, you know, waking up on time, going to sleep on time. You should never like douse yourself with caffeine and just try to squeeze every last second of productivity out of yourself. That's something I'm looking to change. I need to like really form better habits because like I'm not in college anymore. I'm not a teenager anymore. So like choices I make now will affect my health for the rest of my life. So yeah, I don't recommend what I do, but you definitely end up spending a lot of time, especially if you're doing the art thing and you want to kind of make it a career. There's a lot of entrepreneurial habits that you end up adopting as a self-employed artist. It's very similar to running your own business, like whether you're selling products or doing a startup in tech, or, you know, doing your own like consulting business, construction business. They all have a similar backbone, which is you end up working a lot, you think about it all the time, it's always on your mind, you can't shut it off. It's not like when you work for another company where, you know, after your workday's over, you can come home and not think about work until the next day and just kind of thoroughly enjoy your time off with your friends and family. Like, when you care a lot about what you do, it ends up occupying a lot of your headspace, even when you're supposed to be relaxing, which is good and bad, right? Like, you're thinking about it because you care about it, because it interests you and it's your passion, but also you can't ever escape from it. You can't ever shut it off. So yeah, there's definitely like pros and cons to each. I think like lately I've been doing maybe 80% non-painting stuff and 20% painting, and because I have a social coming up, it's been more like 60% other stuff and 40% painting. But that's because I have to sacrifice the other stuff. Like, I don't have as much time to make videos. I don't have as much time to, I don't know, like schedule sales on my shop, or, you know, make like special new merchandise and products. So I just have to cut into my other business tasks in order to make time for art. Art by MB says, what you're talking about right now basically describes a teacher's life. Oh, yeah, because like teachers are awesome. They care so much. Well, I mean, good teachers care so much about their students. Like, I remember all my teachers who have influenced me the most, who I look up to the most. They've all gone above and beyond. They're basically like parents. Like, they're parents who take care of you during the school day. And yeah, I can only imagine the amount of mental and physical energy that goes into being a teacher and taking care of so many children. Well, even high school, like, they don't have to be children. Like, taking care of so many students as if they're your own kids. Arbat NB says, do you ever feel fatigued from painting? Oh, yes. I feel like painting, okay, so I don't know if everyone agrees with me on this, and I know everyone's different, but for me, painting, it uses so much like brain power that it reminds me of in college when I used to stay up studying for finals, or stay up like you know, trying to finish homework projects, I always felt so exhausted. Even if I do, like, let's say let's say for 3 hours, okay, maybe, okay, for 8 hours, let's say for 8 hours, I'm doing something that's very brain power heavy. So like painting or studying or making or finishing a homework assignment versus 8 hours of doing something that requires the same amount of energy, but like maybe less mentally exhausting. Like if I spent 8 hours at work and it's like a slow day at work and I'm just on Reddit, or, you know, like I'm just in meetings all day and I'm not really like working on anything personally, those 2 8 hours feel very different, even though like in both cases I'm just sitting at a desk, like, you know, typing, or sitting at a desk drawing or painting. Like the same amount of time, but spent on, you know, concentrating on making art or concentrating on writing a paper or studying for an exam, like it exhausts me so much more. I feel like a zombie afterwards. Versus like if I spent a whole day kind of just at the office being bored, or, you know, an uneventful day, I actually come back from it very energized and itching to do something, like itching to, you know, go out, socialize, itching to come home and work on something creative. But like if you're doing something really intense that requires a lot of thought and concentration, I feel like it's almost like my brain has like gone to the gym and done a crazy workout or something. So yeah, definitely I feel fatigued after painting. And I think that's why I save my painting for like the end of the day, because in the morning when I have all this energy, I want to, you know, do the tasks that are not like as draining, because I know like if I paint first, I'll be too drained to do anything else. So in the morning I'll do emails, you know, manage my shop, I'll post on social media, or like I'll start editing a video. And then at night when I'm done with all that and I still have kind of like a little bit of energy left and I'm itching to do something creative, that's when I choose to paint, which is why I'm very nocturnal, I guess. Okay. I think the mountains are, or at least this set of background mountains are done. Let me show you guys. Did not have time to work on skin today, but that's fine. I'm recording a time lapse for this, so you guys will get to see the entire process. I'm actually recording a time lapse for every single piece, yay, in this collection. Might be cool to make like a different type of video at the end that honors the entire collection. Yay, this is what I have so far. Let me zoom out and show you guys. Come on, tripod. There you go. So this is what I have, what I did today. See, up close, they're just little dots and jagged lines. The cranes need a lot of work. Eesh. I also need to make these background mountains, like these faded ones, like make them a little cleaner, because, oh, thank you guys. Thank you for all the compliments. And then for these front mountains, I want to make them a little darker, more saturated and sharper, so I'll be using more black to make the trees and painting more details on the trees, because, you know, they say like your background should be more faded and it should get lighter, or it should get darker as you go into the foreground. So these will be light, these will be darker, and then the front, these will be very, very dark. I need to fix this all with a second layer. And yep, still gotta fix the skin, fix that awkward belly button, and add a lot of water effects. So I have this kind of floating island. I'm gonna add a little boat here, add some ripples to make it look like she's... So the water in Guilin is really shallow. That's why she's kind of just barely making a dent. Yeah, these are not like super deep lakes. They're just kind of shallow creeks and rivers. But yeah, that's kind of what I have so far of this piece. Let me try to move my tripod back so I can say goodbye to you guys. Thank you all for joining me. We went a little bit over time, but that's okay because I always go over. Hee. Okay, let me move back to my seat. Oops. I want to say goodbye, say a proper goodbye to you guys, but my tripod is all wonky now. Okay. Okay, how do I do this? How do I put you back? Oh, there we go. Okay. Woo. a little crooked, but that's fine. That's fine, we'll make it work. Okay, awesome. Let's see, any other questions that I might have missed? Oh, you guys are so sweet. Thank you. You guys, I'm so happy you guys like these pieces. This gives me so much confidence and motivation to really like nail the remaining pieces of the show. I really want to make you guys proud too. Let's see, what are you saying? Oh, thank you for sharing your light with us. You were such an inspiration. Oh, thank you guys. You guys are so nice. Okay. Well, I gotta run. I gotta do some work after this. Gotta make your rewards. And yeah, I'm really looking forward to this collection, looking forward to meeting some of you guys. And, you know, if you can't come to the show, no worries. I'm looking forward to sharing a vlog or some way to share the experience with you guys. Maybe I'll live stream a bit. But yeah, I can't thank you enough for your support and your pledges on Patreon, especially during months where I have to, you know, just work on a lot of pieces that I can't sell. Like, your support really helps me out. So thank you, thank you, thank you. I can't say thank you enough. I hope you all enjoy your spring. Hope no one else is suffering from allergies as badly as I am. And I will see you guys in April for the April